Hi, everyone. I'm Frank Mallicoat. I'm a news anchor and a reporter here in the Bay Area, the San Francisco Bay Area. My guest is the former director of corporate innovation at Caterpillar Inc. and the president of their philanthropic arm, the Caterpillar Foundation. She's here to talk about the effects of social isolation and how perhaps taking a different perspective on things might help you through this ordeal. Let's say hi to Michelle Sullivan. How are you?
Good. How about you? Thanks for having me.
Well, we're all sheltering in place and learning how to Zoom, among other things.
We
Uh,
are.
Michelle, I did a little research on you, and I think I gathered that we all kind of need to maybe take a step back and take a deep breath. Would you agree?
I would agree. Think about a few weeks ago or a month, depending on where you live, how long you've been sheltered in place. Think how busy we all were and just buzzing through life, and were we really appreciating all the things that we should? And now that we all are experiencing the shelter in place, most of us, think about how your perspective has changed already and how much more appreciative we are of the people around us, the people who are helping in the hospitals, the people who are making minimum wage, a lot of them in the grocery stores who are working to get us our food, who are
Sure.
shipping our product, all that. And the teachers, think about how much more everyone is appreciating the teachers.
Especially the parents that are
Yeah,
double
exactly.
dipping.
I mean, just think about, while this is challenging for sure, think about all the gratitude you have now and appreciation that you didn't have a few weeks ago.
I know I've been kind of doing my own little gratitude thing where I pick out at least one, maybe two people that I haven't talked to in a long time and
Hmm.
send them a text or pick up the phone and say, how you doing?
Yeah. How are you?
Yeah, we never have time for that.
No. And isn't that a shame? Because, we all hear when something happens to somebody, oh, I wish I had talked to them more often or called them. And it takes something like this to bring that back around and remind us, it doesn't take something like this situation for us to do that. We should always reach out to people.
My guess is we're forever changed a little bit. We really don't have an end to this. And once we get to the other side, per se, I think a lot of habits, the way we greet people, the way we react in crowds, if we even have big crowds anymore, life has changed a lot and will.
I do agree. I think we're going to have to find a new normal. And I think it's going to take a while to find out what that normal is. But also, I think a lot of good things have come out of this. Think how families are connecting at home, playing games. You're dusting off the games from the top of the closet.
Monopoly, right?
Yeah,
I know.
exactly. You're playing it over Zoom and all that, and you're catching up on your cleaning out the closets and reading. Remember all those books and magazines you have piled up and
Jigsaw
not.
puzzles.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think our new normal hopefully will keep a lot of that, a lot of those activities that we've enjoyed during this isolation, and we bring it into our new normal, hopefully. And I hope that we don't get back to the rat race like we
Mm.
all have been in, and that we have more of a balance. And at the end of the day, I think we are going to have a balance.
I hope so too. A little
Hope
more
so.
empathy and a little more time. I always say this: when you're young, you don't have time for anyone, and when you're old, all you want is someone's time. And I'm getting to that point. But let's talk about your journey because it's really shaped your perspective on
Mhm.
maybe looking at things a little bit differently and being positive. Talk about your journey.
Sure. So I was born with a rare type of dwarfism, and so I stand 4 feet tall, and I literally look up to people my whole life. And it taught me the best posture because I learned not only it's not about just physically looking up to people. I look up to people all the time and all over the place because we all have value. And so while I certainly have my orthopedic challenges, I was able to get a great education. I was born into a tremendous family. Of course, I was born in the United States, one of the best countries in the world that gives me the opportunity to have a career, as you mentioned at the beginning. And so when you think about how blessed I am, it really carries over in every aspect of my life. And when I was 13 years old and started going through all my orthopedic surgeries at Johns Hopkins, that's a teaching hospital, and a lot of people come from all over the world as a last resort to help whatever ails them. And I had no idea what could happen to the human body, and that people were, hanging on to the last thread of hope going to Hopkins. And the only reason I was there is because I had some bad hips that needed to be corrected. So it really had a profound impact on me from age 13. And it changed my life because I had no idea how blessed I was in so many ways. And then when I took over the Caterpillar Foundation, and the focus is on poverty, and I've traveled the world and met with, all kinds of folks, especially those living in poverty, and how grateful they are and how they look up and to everything. And they may be going to a school under a tree, or, live in a hut or something like that. And they're so grateful. And there's so many of them, and everyone in any situation that I look up to, because we all have value, and we all can take that away from each other and give to each other at the same time. And think how much better the world would be if we looked up to everyone equally.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you wrote a book looking up how a different perspective turns obstacles into advantages. Tell us, when did the book come out, and tell us about the book?
It came out in the latter part of February of this year. And looking up, obviously, is a little bit about my size. But like I said, it's about my perspective as well. My default perspective is that everyone has value, and I want to learn from that. And that we should really look at situations not as problems, which we are prone to do, but look at what opportunity you can have out of that situation. And we're really into that right now, aren't we?
Oh my gosh, are we? Everyone's singing the blues, but
yeah,
the
but
smart
there's a lot of
man,
good going on. Look, I'm sure you're interviewing people who are doing fantastic things and giving of themselves that we would have never heard about.
Yeah. Actually, I just spoke to a man who was a college bud of mine that is an attorney in San Francisco. He's taking the plastic off legal briefs and making face shields for the medical world. Yeah, that's
Isn't
pretty
that
cool.
amazing? And we are one. And think about how we play a part in our community, and to give back. And don't be afraid to ask for help yourself. That's a whole chapter in my book.
I know that. That's a lot of people think it's a weakness if you ask questions or need help, but it really is a strength, right?
It is a strength. And that's a whole chapter, because we all need help from time to time. And I need help physically, just doing things or reaching things, but also emotionally, we all need that. And so it is a strength, because don't suffer by yourself. And also don't be afraid to give of yourself and offer help, especially during these times now. There's single parents who have children who can't go to the store because they can't take their children in the store. There's older folks or disabled folks who need help. And then there's people who you'd never guess maybe need someone to talk to. Like you said, give them a call and ask how they're doing.
Yeah.
We all need that. We all have to support each other. We are one.
Maybe
and look how we're coming together. When was the last time we all came together? Probably
well, we were talking about it maybe after 9/11, where we all felt this sense of patriotism, but it wasn't global. It was, we were the ones that were struck, and of course the Middle East, back and forth. But this affects everyone from Argentina to Iceland. So we're all feeling it.
We all are feeling it. And everybody's life depends on the other person doing what they're supposed to do. So we are impacting each other. And I think that's very important to remind ourselves of. By the same token, look at all that we're sharing, the phone calls, the Zoom, the WhatsApp, the social media. Look at all the funny things on Facebook. I'm one of those that I now know what my true hair color is, because I haven't had my hair done in 5 weeks.
I know. That's
so I'm one of those people.
I am too. Hello. I touch it up here and there.
Isn't that funny though? And look at all, aren't you going to appreciate your hairdresser now? We all are.
Well, just trying to get a haircut. I mean, in this crazy world, I have a story for another day, but I got one a couple of weeks ago through a little recon.
Okay.
But I had a mask on, gloves on, a bodysuit,
Yep.
and just kind
They
of put
won't
my
tell
head out there.
anybody.
Exactly. Talk more about people, about being positive, and where a lot of folks see problems, others see opportunities.
Right. You know, a lot of our beliefs and how we feel come from within. So when you walk in a room full of people, do you kind of walk along the wall and try not to get involved in anything and wondering who can I walk up to? Because it does take courage to walk up to someone that you don't
Absolutely.
know in a room and start chit-chatting. And it's easier for some people than others. It's easy for me. My parents said I came out chit-chatty. So, but it is difficult for some people. But you also have to make the first move. And that's another chapter in my book. You know, don't be afraid to lean into a situation and start talking to someone and then break the ice. And a lot of times I use humor because people will be afraid to approach me.
Absolutely.
Being 4 feet tall, they may say something that offends me or something. And most times I will be the first one that speaks. And it starts to break the ice. And
Yeah.
then you start laughing and chit chatting. But you know, it does take courage and it all comes from within. But you also can go with someone and have them help you break the ice if you're uncomfortable. But you know, don't always think that a situation is a problem. You know, when something happens, take a step back, take a breath, and think, you know what? What good can come out of this? And most of the time, you can find something or
Absolutely.
someone.
Well,
And so it really is your perspective. Your line of sight is a chapter in the book. What is your line of sight? And my line of sight is that I know that you have value and that we can find something to chat about.
awesome. Well, you mentioned this, but looking up, turning obstacles into assets. Maybe you can give us an example today while people are sheltering, maybe a little isolated, maybe a
Right,
little lonely. What
right.
can you recommend for those folks?
Right. So think about, I've done this recently, especially in the last couple weeks since we've been in this for 3, 4 weeks now. There's been several friends that, and I was one of those with the book, really wrapped up, you know, doing the book tour, etc., and
Hmm.
busy and not taking the time I should to reach out to people. And so I have made an effort every day to reach out to people, especially people that I have not talked to for a while. And one of my friends, unbeknownst to me, was having some challenges physically with some illness that I didn't know about. And I felt bad that they didn't feel like they felt I was busy with the book, etc. And that really made me think about that is not a good thing
Mm,
because I'm never too busy to talk to them, and but they felt that way, and so I need to fix that and make sure that people know that I'm available to talk with them and meet with them or whatever. And I think we really have to do that in these times. The parents who are having to homeschool their children, that's a huge obstacle in and of itself, but also if you're working, because you're supposed to
yeah.
be working and teaching your children at the same time. And is there something online where a group of parents from the same class can be teaching? Because I've seen that is happening also, where it's kind of a group
Right.
home teaching situation.
I'll take
And
the
don't
kids
get
Monday, you get them Tuesday, that kind of thing.
exactly, yeah, you don't have to do it all yourself. And I think a lot of, especially parents, are feeling that they have to take all this on themselves and get together and figure out as a group, because we are one, figure out as a group how to do that. And then you're going to also get to know those parents. Think about
Yeah.
all the people you're meeting during this time because you have to. But
Right.
you're going to find out, thank you, God, I'm glad I did that.
Absolutely. I think we're kind of rearranging our priorities in life
We are.
to a certain extent too. What's important? We all got stuff, and God bless us that still have jobs. We have our health. I
Right,
mean, you kind of get down to the basics when you go through something like this and find
right,
out what's really important.
right. And I think a lot about the people who have lost their jobs. And you know, the restaurant people, the bar people, companies are
Hotels. Yeah.
laying off, hotels are decimated as well. And you know, these are jobs that are not, you know, the highest salaries, unfortunately. and yet they're the most needed people. When you go out, you look for that person to come over and greet you and give you a drink or take your order. And I just think a lot about the people that I'm missing right now, and how much I appreciate them. And I do reach out to the restaurants that I go to a lot to find out about the people who always are there, to see what we can do for them, because they're hurting a lot in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Not only have they lost their job, but they're dealing with what we're dealing with. And by the way, how are they going to pay their rent?
Well, yeah, and here in California, I think the Restaurant Association of California said a third of the restaurants likely, if this goes on for another month, won't be back.
They won't be back. That's
And a
right.
lot of these are family. I've done a few
Yes.
stories in San Francisco. One Italian family that runs a great little bistro here. They're going to be okay for a couple of months, but a lot of his staff is from the Mission, Hispanic. They've got families and kids, and they're hurting right now. So he is a social hero. He started a GoFundMe page and
Really?
actually raised $30,000 that he's going to give to his staff of 19 to kind of help him.
What is the GoFundMe? What's it called?
I'd have to give it to you.
Okay.
It's a restaurant helper. The name of the restaurant is called Campanina. He's from the island of off the coast of, oh golly, I can't. He's from Italy, at any rate.
Okay.
He's been here for
Okay.
25 years and just a delightful
Yeah.
guy. I go in there quite a bit, but
Yeah, I feel for all of them, and we have to support them with, ordering food out, etc. So I think we all play a role in that, but it's going to go much deeper than that, and find out how are they doing personally.
right. If someone's watching right now and they need kind of a shot of courage, what would you say to them just right out of the gate? What should they do?
Yeah. Remember, you're not alone. We are one big community, and there are people around you. So don't be afraid to reach out. And they're going to reach out to other people as well. We all need to reach out to each other and put our arms around each other virtually, because that's all we have right now is to do it virtually. So let's do that and keep doing things like this and keep looking up. The view is great. We are going to come out the other side of this. We are going to be changed people. Our priorities have been reset for us. I often wonder if that's why this is all happening. I always try to think of the reason why things happen. And I'm wondering if this is
God's
the
way of saying,
God's way of saying, you
let's
got
get,
to take a wake up.
yeah,
That's right. And
yep,
we have each other. At the end of the day, you don't really own anything. You can have a tornado or a hurricane and everything blows away.
right.
So you don't own anything, but we do have each other. And that's what we do have and we'll have going forward. So don't be afraid to reach out. You're not alone.
Talk about Illinois. You're outside of Peoria. Tell us
Mhm.
where that is in the state and how Illinois and your surrounding communities dealing with COVID-19.
Yeah, I'm in Washington, Illinois, right next to Peoria. So we're right smack in the middle of the state. We're 2.5 hours south of Chicago, 2.5 hours north of St. Louis. And we are in farm country. We live in a rural area. A lot of us have acreage with our homes. So we're more spread out than the cities are. And so we don't have a lot of COVID-19 cases like the big cities have. But nonetheless, we are definitely hunkering down like everyone else. And of course, the farmers are getting their crops in the ground. And everybody here now has time to put their gardens in because we
Yeah.
have free time during the day. So all the yard work is almost done in the first part of April. That usually takes people a couple months when you're working and you just do it at night or on weekends.
Sure.
So it's really funny to hear people talk.
Well, the neighborhood must look great then, right?
It looks great right now. It does. Everything is green, and we had a mild winter, and yesterday was 80 and the day before was 80. And then of course reality hits us and we're in the 50s today.
Oh, well, you'll
So-
take that, I'm sure.
We'll take that. So it's funny how things go back and forth, but life is good, and it's good in Central Illinois as well.
Well, Michelle, tell us finally how people can get in touch with you and your book if they'd like to take a look.
Sure, if you go to lookingup.com, you can find all about the book and about myself as well. And remember, keep looking up. The view is great, and you're not alone. We are one.
Well, you're awesome, and I want you to feel
Thank
at home. So I think, oh, where is my hat? I'm going to excuse myself for 2 seconds. I want you
Wow,
to feel at home there.
there you go. I have to tell you, I'm a big Cardinal fan.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll throw it
We
out.
are, we are 50-50 here.
I know. I figured I'd take a chance. I didn't know. It's kind of like Giants Dodgers. You like one or the other.
That's right.
In the middle of the state. All right.
You know the feeling.
Well,
Yeah, this is definitely a Cardinal house.
all right. Well, the Cardinals have had a better run than the Cubs, that's for sure, over the years.
Yeah.
So we love
Thank
Tony
you.
La Russa. Of course, he had roots back there, still hanging out. And
Exactly.
all right. Well, Michelle Sullivan, what a pleasure to meet you. All the
Thank
best with
you.
your book, and
Thank you.
love your positive spirit, and
Thank you.
keep spreading
We're
the
going to
message.
get through this. You know, this is, when you go to a wedding, they say for better or for worse.
Right.
And, we got both of it right now. We got great gratitude going on in a very challenging time, but we will come through on the other side.
Well, and I never would have met you unless this happened. So
That's right.
all the best.
And I would have met you. Thank you so much.
All right, Michelle. I'm Frank Mallicoat with Fox here in the San Francisco Bay Area. We'll send it back to you.